Hello everyone, welcome to Learn ReactJS for Frontend Development by CodeChef. So when you're working with modern React applications, you often need to display dynamic lists like users, products, or students which keep changing. But hard-coding each component one by one doesn't scale and quickly becomes unmanageable. This is where iteration in React comes in. So by the end of this lesson, you will understand how we can use the map method to render lists dynamically, how JSX fits in JavaScript, and why we require keys to render lists correctly. So let's begin. So let us focus on iteration in React, specifically how to render dynamic lists using JavaScript map function and React keys. If you manually write each component, your code quickly becomes repetitive and hard to manage. This approach does not scale when the number of items increases or changes dynamically. In real applications, data is always changing. Users can be added, removed, or updated at any time. React is designed to handle this dynamic nature efficiently. The first step is separating data from the user interface. We store all the information inside a JavaScript array where each object represents one item in the list. This makes the application flexible and easier to maintain. So how does the map function work here? Think of the map function as a transformation. Each item in the array goes in and a component comes out. This keeps the code clean, reusable, and scalable. Here's a very important React pattern. We are writing JavaScript inside JSX using curly braces, and inside that JavaScript we return JSX again. This pattern is extremely common in React when rendering lists or dynamic UI. There's a hidden issue here. When a list changes, React needs to know which item is which. Without keys, React cannot correctly track list items. This can lead to incorrect updates and performance problems. So what is a key? A key is a unique identifier for each list item. It helps React understand what changed, what stayed the same, and what was removed. Always use a unique and stable value as a key, preferably an ID. Avoid using array indexes unless the list never changes. To summarize, use the map method for rendering lists, always add a key, and keep your data separate from the user interface. These are core React best practices. So in this task, we are building a reusable greeting card component and rendering multiple cards dynamically using React. Each card shows a person's name, age, greeting message, and favorite color. Instead of hard coding each word, we use iteration to generate them from data. Let's walk through the code step by step. First, we start with the greeting card component. This component receives 4 props: name, age, greeting, and favorite color. These props allow the same component to display different information for different people. So inside the greeting card component, we define several style objects like card style, heading style, base paragraph style, etc. These are plain JavaScript objects used for inline styling in React. This keeps styling scope to the component and makes it easier to customize dynamically. Now notice this particular line in card style. Here, the card's top border color changes based on the person's favorite color. If no color is provided, it falls back to a default, which we have defined over here. Now coming to the return statement, the greeting message is displayed inside a h2 heading tag using the greeting prop. Then we display the person's name and their age. Both values come directly from props and are inserted into JSX using curly braces. Next, after displaying the age, we will be adding a paragraph to display the favorite color, which, according to our requirements, we should print out the favorite color below the favorite age. We also style the color text using the favorite color text style, so the text itself appears in that color. This demonstrates how React lets us mix data, logic, and presentation clearly. So at the bottom of the card, we display the current year using date.getFullYear and a friendly closing message. Now let's move to the app component. Here, we define a people array. Each object represents one person and includes a unique ID, name, age, a greeting message, and a favorite color. This array is our data source. Now we will be using map instead of manually rendering 3 greeting card components. So over here, the map method loops through the array and returns one greeting card for each person. This makes the UI dynamic. If we add or remove people from the array, the UI updates automatically. So why is the key prop important? Each greeting card has a key prop set to person.id. This key helps React uniquely identify each component in the list. It ensures that React can efficiently update the UI when the list changes. Using a unique key is the recommended best practice. Let's just run this code once. So you can see we have printed out the greeting card in the given format. Let's just submit this code once. So we have passed both the test cases. Now let's talk about a very important concept in React called keys. Keys come into play whenever you render a list using the map function, whether it's a list of to-dos, users or students. At first, your code might work even without keys, but there is a hidden issue that shows up when the list changes. React needs to know which list item is which. When a list updates, for example when an item is added, removed or reordered, React compares the previous list to the new list to decide which needs to change on the screen. If React cannot uniquely identify each item, it gets confused. This can lead to incorrect re-renders, unexpected UI behavior and performance issues. That's why keys are required. You can think of a key like a name tag. If everyone in a list has a name tag, React can easily recognize who stayed, who left and who is new. Without name tags, all items look the same to React. Now let us look at the student list component. In our student list component, we can display a list of students, and each student contains a unique ID, name and age. This ID is crucial for using keys correctly. Now, we will be using a map method to render students. The map method loops through the students array, and for each student it returns a block of JSX. That JSX represents one student card on the screen. The key prop is added to the outermost element returned by the map method. This tells React this specific card belongs to this specific student. Now, if the list changes, React can identify which student was removed, identify which student was added, and update only what's necessary. Now, if we didn't have keys, that is if we removed the key prop, React would show a warning, React would struggle to track list items, and UI updates could behave unpredictably. So even if the app appears to work initially, it's not following React's best practices. Let's just run this code once. So you can see we have successfully displayed the student's name. Let's just submit this code once. So we passed the test case. So that is how iteration in React works. To really understand this concept, make sure to head over to the CodeChef platform and try out the practice problems yourself. That's where the real learning happens. That was it for this lesson, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.